In the year 2147, humanity had reached the pinnacle of technological advancement. Cities floated above the clouds, and interstellar travel was as routine as a morning commute. Yet, amidst these marvels of progress, a peculiar event unfolded, one that would test the very fabric of human resilience. It began on an ordinary Tuesday. The skies were clear, and the hum of hovercrafts filled the air. People went about their routines, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. At precisely 10 a.m., every screen on Earth flickered and displayed a message that sent shockwaves through the world. Attention, inhabitants of Earth. The message began in a voice that resonated with authority and an unsettling calmness. This is a communication from the Galactic Revenue Service. Our records indicate that your planet has failed to pay the required interstellar taxes for the past millennium. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. As per the Galactic Treaty of 1147, non-compliance with tax obligations results in immediate sanctions, including but not limited to planetary annihilation. You have precisely 1 Earth month to remit the outstanding balance. Chaos erupted. Governments convened emergency meetings. Scientists scrambled to verify the authenticity of the message, and conspiracy theorists reveled in their newfound validation. The world united in a singular, terrifying realization. Humanity was on the brink of extinction, not by war or plague, but by a bureaucratic oversight. The numbers were staggering. The debt was calculated in units incomprehensible to human mathematics, an amount so vast it could bankrupt entire solar systems. The Galactic Revenue Service had even attached an itemized list. Fines for late payments dating back centuries, interest accrued at rates that bordered on criminal, and penalties for failure to notify, whatever that meant. As panic spread like wildfire, a strange thing happened. Amidst the despair and fear, a spark of defiance ignited. Humanity had faced extinction before, wars that scorched continents, pandemics that decimated populations, and yet here they stood. This would be no different. In the heart of this chaos stood Dr. Elara Voss, a brilliant astrophysicist known for her unyielding spirit and unconventional ideas. She was among the first to suggest what many considered unthinkable. What if we didn't pay? Her proposal wasn't born out of recklessness, but logic. We don't know who they are or what they want, she argued before an emergency council convened in Geneva. If they're advanced enough to demand taxes from us, why haven't we heard from them before? Something doesn't add up. Her words resonated with others. A growing faction of scientists, engineers, and military strategists who believed that humanity's best chance wasn't submission but confrontation. They began working in secret, pooling resources and knowledge to uncover who or what the Intergalactic Revenue Service truly was. Meanwhile, efforts to gather funds continued in parallel. Governments liquidated assets. Corporations pledged fortunes. Even ordinary citizens donated whatever they could spare. But it became clear within days that paying off the debt was impossible. The sum was simply too great. As the countdown ticked closer to zero, humanity prepared for its final stand. Satellites were repurposed into weapons. Fleets of starships were armed with experimental technology. Even Earth's moon was fortified into a makeshift defense station. And then came day zero. At exactly 10 a.m., 1 month to the second after the initial message, a new transmission arrived. This time it wasn't just text, but holographic projections beamed directly into every major city on Earth. The figure was tall and imposing, draped in shimmering robes that seemed to defy physics. Its face was obscured by a mask that glowed faintly with alien symbols. "Earth," it intoned, "your time is up." But before it could continue, another signal interrupted. The unmistakable voice of Dr. Elara Voss broadcast across every frequency. "We reject your terms," she declared boldly. "You claim we owe you taxes under a treaty we never signed with laws we never agreed to abide by. If you want our compliance, come and take it." The alien figure paused as if processing her words. For a moment, silence reigned across the planet. And then it laughed, a deep, resonant sound that sent shivers down spines worldwide. "So be it," it said finally. "Prepare yourselves." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Earth in eerie silence once more. But humanity wasn't afraid anymore. Not really. For all its flaws and divisions, there was one thing Earth's people had always excelled at: fighting back when pushed against a wall. And so began what history would later call the Tax Rebellion. The first wave of their assault came 3 days later. Massive ships, larger than any human vessel ever conceived, emerged from hyperspace just beyond the orbit of Neptune. They were sleek and alien, their surfaces shimmering with an iridescent glow that seemed to absorb the light around them. These were not warships in the traditional sense. They were collectors, designed to strip planets bare of resources, life, and anything else of value. Earth's newly unified defense forces had been watching and waiting. The moment the ships appeared on long-range scanners, humanity sprang into action. Satellites equipped with experimental railguns powered by miniature fusion reactors opened fire from orbit. The projectiles screamed through the void at near-light speed, striking the alien vessels with pinpoint accuracy. The first few shots connected, and for a fleeting moment, hope surged across Earth. But that hope was short-lived. The alien ships shimmered as some kind of energy field absorbed the blows effortlessly. Their hulls remained unscathed. "Shields," muttered General Kale, commander of Earth's orbital defense forces, his voice grim as he watched from the command center in Luna Base Alpha. "They've got shields? Then we'll just have to hit harder," said Dr. Elara Voss, who had been brought to the base as an advisor. Her mind was already racing through possibilities. Humanity's weapons weren't enough. Not yet, but she had an idea. The alien fleet began its slow advance toward Earth, bypassing Mars and its fledgling colonies without so much as a glance. It was clear their target was humanity's homeworld. Panic began to set in once again as people realized how little time they had left. But Elara wasn't panicking. She was working. In secret labs buried deep beneath the surface of the moon, she and her team had been developing something radical. A weapon that didn't rely on brute force, but on ingenuity, a hallmark of humanity's survival throughout history. They called it Project Disruptor. The concept was simple in theory, but staggeringly complex in execution. If the alien shields could absorb energy, then perhaps they could be overloaded, turned against their own ships. It required a level of precision that bordered on impossible, but Elara believed it could work. As the alien fleet approached Earth's orbit, humanity launched its counteroffensive. Swarms of drones equipped with EMP devices buzzed toward the collectors like angry hornets. They detonated in synchronized bursts, creating a dazzling display of electromagnetic interference that temporarily blinded the enemy sensors. It was during this brief window that Project Disruptor was deployed. A single prototype weapon, a massive cannon mounted on Earth's moon, fired its first shot. The beam wasn't designed to destroy, it was designed to destabilize. It struck one of the alien ships directly in its shield generator, causing a chain reaction that rippled across its entire energy grid. For a moment, nothing happened, and then, with a soundless explosion visible even from Earth's surface, the alien ship disintegrated into a cloud of debris. Cheers erupted across every corner of the planet. For the first time since this nightmare began, humanity had struck back and won. But there was no time to celebrate. The remaining alien ships adjusted their formation and began firing back with weapons far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. Beams of pure energy lanced through space, obliterating satellites and orbital stations with terrifying efficiency. Earth's defenses were crumbling fast. "Elara," General Kale barked over the comms, "we need more disruptors online now. We're working as fast as we can," she shot back, sweat dripping down her face as she coordinated with engineers and scientists across multiple facilities. "But we only have so much material to work with." It wasn't enough. Not yet. Humanity needed more time to build its defenses and adapt its strategies. And then came an unexpected twist. As Earth fought desperately for survival, a new signal was detected, a transmission originating from deep within the Kuiper Belt. At first, it was dismissed as noise amidst the chaos of battle. But when analysts decoded it, their findings sent shockwaves through Luna Base Alpha. The signal wasn't alien, it was human. A forgotten colony ship launched centuries ago during humanity's early attempts at interstellar exploration had somehow survived in deep space. Its inhabitants had thrived against all odds, developing technologies far beyond anything Earth currently possessed. And now they were coming home. Within hours, sleek ships unlike anything seen on Earth emerged from hyperspace near Pluto. They were smaller than the alien collectors, but bristling with weaponry that looked both familiar and utterly foreign at once. "This is Captain Elara Voss of the Exodus Ascendant," came a voice over secure channels, a voice that made Elara freeze in shock. Her brother's voice. "We received your distress signal," he continued calmly, "and we're here to help." The tide was turning once again. Not because humanity had begged or surrendered, but because it had adapted and fought back with everything it had, and because somewhere out there in the vastness of space, humanity's indomitable spirit had endured against all odds. The battle for Earth wasn't over, not by a long shot, but for the first time since this ordeal began, victory felt within reach. And humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. It was fighting to show the galaxy what it meant to be human, defiant, resourceful, unstoppable. The alien fleet slowed its advance, hovering ominously just beyond Earth's upper atmosphere. Their massive ships cast shadows over continents, blotting out the sun in some regions. The voice of the Galactic Collector returned, this time addressing humanity directly. "You dare resist us?" It boomed, its tone a mix of incredulity and disdain. "You, a species barely capable of interstellar travel, would defy the Intergalactic Revenue Service? Your arrogance is astounding." Dr. Elara Voss stood in the command center on Luna Base Alpha, her fists clenched as she listened to the broadcast. The Collector's voice carried an air of superiority that made her blood boil. "Arrogance," she muttered under her breath. "This coming from a civilization that charges taxes for existing?" The alien continued, seemingly oblivious to, or perhaps amused by, humanity's defiance. "You accuse us of hypocrisy," it said, "but taxation is the foundation of order in the galaxy. It funds the infrastructure that allows trade routes to flourish and civilizations to thrive. Without it, there would be chaos." Elara couldn't hold back any longer. She activated the comm system, broadcasting her response across the same channels the aliens were using. "Order," she said, her voice steady but laced with anger. "You call this order? You demand payment from a species that had no knowledge of your so-called galactic laws. You impose your rules without consent and threaten annihilation when we fail to comply. That's not order. It's tyranny." The Collector paused, as if taken aback by her audacity. Then it laughed, a cold, mechanical sound that echoed across the airwaves. "You misunderstand," it said. "Your ignorance does not absolve you of responsibility. The moment your species achieved sentience, you became subject to the laws of the galaxy. By existing, you benefit from the stability we provide." Elara's eyes narrowed. "Stability? What stability have you provided us? We've fought our wars, solved our crises, and built our civilizations without any help from you. If anything, your so-called laws are nothing more than a convenient excuse to exploit lesser-developed worlds." The Collector's tone grew colder. "Enough of this insolence. You have one final chance to comply. Pay your debts or face eradication." Elara cut the transmission and turned to General Kale. "We need to buy more time," she said. "How long until the next disruptor cannon is operational?" 2 days at best," Kale replied grimly. "Then we'll have to stall them," Elara said. She began formulating a plan, a desperate gamble that hinged on humanity's greatest strength, its ability to adapt and think creatively under pressure. Meanwhile, on Earth, protests erupted in every major city as people grappled with the existential threat looming above them. But amidst the chaos, there was also unity, a rare moment where humanity set aside its differences to face a common enemy. In underground bunkers and fortified research facilities, scientists worked around the clock to improve Earth's defenses. Engineers refined the disruptor technology, while biologists studied samples of alien materials recovered from debris fields. Every discipline contributed in some way to humanity's survival effort. News spread quickly about Elara's confrontation with the Collector, and her words resonated deeply with people across the globe. She had become a symbol of resistance, a reminder that humanity would not go quietly into oblivion. Back in orbit, Elara's plan was set into motion. Using Earth's remaining satellites as decoys, they created a network of false signals designed to confuse and misdirect the alien fleet sensors. At the same time, stealth drones equipped with experimental cloaking technology were dispatched to gather intelligence on the enemy ships. The data they collected was invaluable. It revealed weaknesses in the alien fleet's formation, gaps that could be exploited if timed correctly. But there was another discovery, one that changed everything. Deep within one of the alien ships was a massive database containing records of every planet subjected to galactic taxation. When decrypted by Earth's best hackers, it revealed a startling truth. Humanity wasn't alone in its resistance. Dozens of other civilizations had faced similar threats over millennia. Some had paid their dues and fallen into subservience. Others had been wiped out entirely for refusing to comply. And yet scattered among these records were accounts of planets that had successfully resisted, worlds that had fought back and won their freedom. Elara stared at the data in disbelief. "They've been doing this for centuries," she said softly, "exploiting entire civilizations under the guise of order." General Kale leaned over her shoulder to read the screen. "If others have beaten them before," he said, "then so can we." Elara nodded, determination hardening her resolve. "We're not just fighting for ourselves anymore," she said. "We're fighting for every species they've ever oppressed, and everyone they'll try to oppress in the future." As Earth prepared for its final stand, Elara sent out a message, not just to humanity, but to anyone who might be listening across the galaxy. "This is Dr. Elara Voss of Earth," she began. "To any civilization that has suffered under the tyranny of galactic taxation, we stand with you. We will not bow down or pay tribute to those who exploit us without consent or representation." Her words echoed across space, reaching far beyond Earth's solar system. And somewhere out there, in distant star systems and forgotten corners of the galaxy, others heard her call. The fight wasn't over yet, but humanity was no longer alone in its struggle against oppression disguised as lawfulness. For now, though, all eyes turned toward Earth as it braced for what would undoubtedly be its darkest hour, and perhaps its finest moment. The battle was coming, and humanity would meet it head-on with fire in its heart and defiance in its soul. The alien fleet loomed over Earth like a silent executioner, its massive ships casting shadows that stretched across continents. The Collector's voice returned once more, cold and mechanical, as it addressed humanity for what it clearly believed would be the final time. "Your defiance is futile," it intoned. "You have exhausted your grace period. Prepare to face the consequences of your noncompliance." But this time, humanity was ready. Not with weapons, though the disruptor cannons were primed and aimed, but with something far more dangerous: paperwork. In the days leading up to what was expected to be Earth's last stand, a coalition of the world's greatest legal minds, bureaucrats, and policy analysts had been working tirelessly in secret. They had combed through every scrap of data recovered from the alien database, dissecting the Galactic Revenue Service's laws, treaties, and regulations with surgical precision. What they found was both infuriating and hilarious. The entire system was riddled with contradictions, loopholes, and outright absurdities. The Galactic Tax Code was a bloated monstrosity of legal jargon so convoluted that even the aliens themselves likely didn't fully understand it. And humanity had just found its way out. At precisely 10 a.m. Earth time, as the alien fleet prepared to fire its first salvo, a new transmission interrupted their systems. It came from Earth, a live broadcast from Luna Base Alpha. Dr. Elara Voss stood at the center of the screen, flanked by a team of lawyers in crisp suits and military officers in full regalia. "Attention, Intergalactic Revenue Service," she began, her voice calm but firm. "This is Dr. Elara Voss speaking on behalf of the planet Earth and its inhabitants. Before you proceed with any hostile actions, we formally invoke Clause 17b of the Galactic Tax Code. The collector's voice cut in, dripping with disdain. Clause 17b? What nonsense is this? Elara smirked. Oh, it's quite real. According to your own laws, any planet that can prove its sentient population was unaware of galactic taxation requirements at the time of their first recorded sentience is exempt from all back taxes and penalties. The collector hesitated for a fraction of a second. A pause so brief, most wouldn't have noticed it. But Elara did. She pressed on. We have thoroughly reviewed your records, she continued, holding up a tablet displaying reams of alien data. And nowhere does it indicate that Earth was ever informed of its obligations under the Galactic Treaty of 1147. In fact, there's no evidence that we were even aware of your existence until 1 month ago. The lawyers behind her nodded in unison, their faces stoic but triumphant. Therefore, Elara said, her voice rising with confidence, under Clause 17b, we are not only exempt from all taxes and penalties, but are also entitled to reparations for undue stress caused by your unlawful threats of planetary annihilation. The silence that followed was deafening. The collector finally responded, its tone colder than ever. You think you can outweed us with semantics? Your argument is irrelevant. The Galactic Revenue Service operates beyond such trivialities. Elara raised an eyebrow. Trivialities? These are your laws we're citing. If you refuse to abide by them, then you invalidate your entire system of governance, and every other species you've subjugated will know it. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes narrowing. Do you really want to open that door? The collector didn't reply immediately. For all its bluster and intimidation tactics, it was clear that this situation had spiraled far beyond what it had anticipated. Humanity wasn't just resisting, it was dismantling the very foundation of its authority. We will review your claims, it said finally, its voice strained. Take your time, Elara replied smoothly. We'll wait. Over the next several hours, humanity watched as the alien fleet remained motionless in orbit. Behind the scenes, Earth's legal team continued bombarding the Galactic Revenue Service with an avalanche of counterclaims and demands for clarification, each one exploiting yet another loophole or inconsistency in their tax code. By the end of the day, the aliens were drowning in paperwork, metaphorically speaking, and their once imposing presence had begun to feel almost comical. Finally, another transmission arrived. Earth, the collector said begrudgingly, your claims have been validated. You are hereby exempt from all taxation obligations under Clause 17b. Cheers erupted across every corner of the planet as people celebrated their newfound freedom. Not just from annihilation, but from a system that had sought to exploit them without consent or representation. But Elara wasn't done yet. She stepped back in front of the camera for one final message, this time directed not at Earth, but at the galaxy itself. To all sentient beings across the universe, she began, her voice resolute. Today marks a turning point, not just for humanity, but for every civilization that has ever suffered under unjust laws imposed without consent. She gestured toward a holographic projection displaying records from the alien database, the names of countless planets that had been taxed into submission or destroyed for resisting. We were told we owed a debt simply for existing, she continued. We were threatened with annihilation for refusing to comply with laws we never agreed to follow. But today we say, enough. Her eyes burned with determination as she delivered her final words. We are no longer subjects of an unjust system, and neither should you be. From this day forward, Earth declares itself an independent power in this galaxy, free from taxation or tyranny. And we invite every other oppressed world to join us. She paused for effect before delivering her closing line. The age of galactic taxation is over, and humanity will lead the charge to ensure freedom for all. The message spread like wildfire across space. Within days, other planets began reaching out, some cautiously hopeful, others openly defiant against their own oppressors. What started as humanity's fight for survival quickly evolved into a revolution, a movement to dismantle an ancient system built on exploitation and fear. Earth became a beacon of resistance, a symbol of what could be achieved when even a small species refused to bow down. And as humanity prepared to take its fight beyond its own solar system, to bring independence not just to itself, but to every corner of the galaxy, it carried with it one unshakable truth. No one taxes humans without their consent, and no one threatens them without facing the consequences. The galaxy would never be the same again. The revolution spread like wildfire. Humanity's message of defiance and freedom resonated across the galaxy, reaching oppressed civilizations that had long suffered under the yoke of the Galactic Revenue Service. Inspired by Earth's victory, planets once thought lost to subjugation rose up, refusing to pay their so-called existence fees. Entire star systems joined the movement, their people united by a common cause, to dismantle the corrupt system that had governed them for millennia. Earth became the nerve center of this interstellar rebellion. Using its newfound alliances and ingenuity, humanity spearheaded an unprecedented campaign of legal and technological warfare. They hacked into the Galactic Revenue Service's central bureaucracy, exposing centuries of corruption and mismanagement. They weaponized the very tax code that had once threatened their existence, turning its labyrinthine complexity against its creators. The final blow came when humanity and its allies stormed the galactic core, the administrative hub of the Intergalactic Revenue Service. What they found there was both shocking and pathetic: a decrepit, automated system run by ancient AI programs that had long since lost any semblance of purpose. The so-called collectors were nothing more than drones following outdated protocols, their threats hollow, and their power derived solely from fear. With a single command, humanity's engineers shut it all down. In the years that followed, a new era dawned across the galaxy. Without the oppressive weight of taxation draining their resources, civilizations flourished. Trade routes expanded organically, driven by mutual benefit rather than imposed levies. Knowledge and technology were shared freely, fostering unprecedented cooperation between species. Humanity didn't stop at dismantling the tax system. They helped design something better. A universal framework was established, one based on voluntary contributions and sustainable practices rather than coercion. Resources were allocated fairly, ensuring that no planet was left behind. The galaxy became a place where innovation thrived and prosperity was shared. For the first time in recorded history, the universe was truly free, and it was humanity that had made it possible. As Dr. Elara Voss stood on the observation deck of Earth's first intergalactic flagship, now orbiting a distant star, she reflected on how far they had come. Behind her, holograms displayed messages of gratitude from countless worlds, testaments to what humanity had achieved. "We did it," General Kale said as he joined her, his voice filled with quiet pride. Elara nodded. "We didn't just survive, we changed everything," and they had. Humanity had turned an existential threat into an opportunity to reshape the galaxy for the better. Taxes were no longer a tool of oppression. They were gone entirely, replaced by systems built on fairness and consent. The universe was thriving, not because of fear or bureaucracy, but because its people had chosen to work together. As she gazed out at the stars, Elara smiled. Humanity's journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but in the end, they had proven what they always believed. When pushed to the brink, humans didn't just endure, they excelled. The galaxy was sustainable now, free from tyranny and exploitation. And it all began with one simple truth. No one tells humans what they owe just for existing. The stars belong to everyone now, and humanity would make sure they stayed that way forever.